this computer. All right, welcome back to Game Week 7 of the FPL One Percenters Podcast. Excited to be back, excited to be here, excited to be joined by the three gentlemen on the screen. Hammer, welcome back. How was the game week for you?
Not the best. I think I finished below average, but we'll see how next week goes.
Yeah, fair enough. Always next week. Always got to stay positive. Hass, welcome back, my man. Another solid week, above average, taking it along, just test matching it out. Marathon sprint.
Yeah, that's it. Looking forward to another good chat, boys. But what a disaster of the week this was. I mean, I know I was above average, but still a bit of a disaster.
I was bang on average, literally bang on, 48 points. So not too much to write home about. Saved our best for last, top performer of the week. Like Ross Barkley and Villa, big fish in a small pond. Kazim, welcome. I'll throw your team on screen while you tell us how it went.
Yeah, average week, I would still say I only beat the average by like 6-7 points. But all in all, eye test wise, I was very happy with how the players performed. Like Mane got me the assist and was a good differential versus the Salah owners. But not as explosive as I would have liked, just given that these few weeks that he does do better, I need to really capitalize on those. Other than that, Grealish, unfortunately, was my transfer of the week. He didn't really, points-wise perform, but I was happy with his performance in the game. And then, other than that, I just had a couple. Jimenez standard 9 points. And
nice. That hurt me. It burned me, to be fair, because I had Jimenez, and I've done the Jimenez to Kane transfer. I did a 1-for-1, which was great and made sense. But, sometimes straight away, FPL makes you regret what you've just done. And it has this innate ability to do that. Yeah. But yeah, can't complain, to be honest. Hass, who was your captain this past week?
You know what? I captained Salah. I think on paper it was the right move, and I think he's still over the last 5 or 6 game weeks, he still had the most big chances across the whole of the game. But he just didn't put that away. And then he had that goal disallowed with the Trent assist. That was that would have been good. So I got
he's
Trent
still on it. He's still 100% on it. I mean, that would be a 20-point swing for anyone who had Trent and Salah as well as captain. But just to give everyone a bit of an idea of what we've sort of discussed for today, we're going to try and tighten up the show a little bit, aim for around, our normal has been about 35 minutes. We're going to aim for about 20 minutes. And we're going to go through it position-wise, so defense, midfield, and attack, and cover sort of key points that we learned from this past week, and then things to look out for as well, players that you should watch out for as well. So without further ado, shall we just jump straight into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Brilliant. So defensively, I'm going to come to Hammer first, and he's going to show us, there was obviously a larger number of clean sheets this week, a lot of focus on defending. Frank Lampard, Ole Solskjaer, sort of just showing us how a drab 0-0 draw should be. And somehow, weirdly, I'd missed it. But Hammer, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, it's like we said at the beginning of the year. We saw goals flying in. We blamed the fans not being there. And as we can see from the slide there, in September, we had 28 games and we got 103 goals. That's 3.6 goals a game. In October so far, we've had 30 games and 88 goals. So already more games, less goals going in. We can tell teams are starting to focus on defense. We saw United and Chelsea focusing on defense. Burnley against Tottenham tried to keep it at 0-0 and then hope to hit them on the break. Leicester did the same against Arsenal. So you can see those teams starting to play a bit more defensively as they try to gather points. And like from the second table, one thing that sticks out is we have Leeds, Villa, Palace, and Wolves that have conceded less goals than expected. But the key being is they allow less chances from in the 6-yard box. So there are teams that are conceding a lot of goals, but they're not allowing as many chances, while there are teams conceding more that are allowing too many chances. So you can see those teams may start parking the bus more. Of course, I would still stay away from Fulham, West Brom, and Newcastle in terms of defense. And don't be scared of Leeds and Villa just because of a few bad games. Like their defense will still be good.
So you're saying that even though sort of their goals against is high, or the likelihood of goals against is high, they're not conceding as many chances in the box. So you shouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly like Bamford scored pretty much his 3 goals from right inside, right? But that doesn't happen very often. He would have to go around like 3 Villa defenders to put it through them. That doesn't happen very often. And as long as they have a good goalkeeper, they're not going to get too many chances. So those are the teams that when they attack, when they play, their defenders will have better chances going forward. At the same time, they're not giving up many chances, many danger chances right there in the box. So their defense will be good for most games.
Nice. Does this sort of speak to you as well, the fact that you concede less chances in the box versus the overall chances conceded being less relevant?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's key. And one of the things, and it's quite noticeable here, is like a team like Brighton, right? It's not even on this top 10 list that Hammer's put together, but you look at Brighton fullback Lamptey. Like he's everybody wants to own him, right? Like I was thinking that I need to try and sneak this guy in, but again, if you bring in a guy like Lamptey, you're really only going to get points attacking returns. So then the question is, do you really want to bring a defender from a guy who's not going to get many clean sheets just based on his attacking returns? And then that's where you have a question mark.
Yeah, 100%. Is there basically been a shift in the fact that initially the first few weeks of the season, anyone who's building their teams out was looking for attacking returns from defenders? But I think it's a false narrative to chase attacking returns from a defender, because I believe that your defense should be like the foundation on which you build. If you can get about 16 to 20 points from your defenders week in, week out from clean sheets, then you're sort of laughing. Kazim, are we seeing a reversion sort of back to how things used to be?
Yeah, I think that you pretty much said exactly how it is. You're probably noticing it more evidently, especially with Liverpool, right? Like they were the one team that you could rely on for clean sheets. And then obviously the attacking returns. But now you've sort of have to table that back where you're not getting the attacking returns and you're not getting the clean sheets. So yeah, you got to really find those sort of budget buys and where you can capitalize on those points, I guess, from the clean sheets. And I guess more this weekend we saw Burnley get back to like their parking the bus or like sitting deep. So it's good to see that because like from a fantasy owner over the last few years, they were being very reliable for everyone. So I think they may be in a lot of people's teams going forward.
Yeah, they are a good shout as well. And one thing to bring up is Dallas from Leeds, a higher XG than Robertson. So someone to keep an eye on. Is he one of the differentials you'd look at or the budget options you'd look at, Hass?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know when I was looking at Leeds initially, the choice was either Dallas or Ayling. And at that time, I went for Ayling. He was the captain. He was, nailed on to play. Dallas, there was still a question mark. This was preseason. And now, I think Ayling's moved into centre back. Dallas is up and down the wing. So he's probably the right choice to go for if you had to do it now. But, I don't think I'm going to waste a transfer making that sideways switch. But yeah, if you had to bring one in, he's definitely the right choice.
Nice. Okay, boys. I think, Hammer, any shouts for someone we should keep an eye on defensively, or any budget buys, anyone you'd recommend before we sort of move on?
Not really. I think what you have, you keep. The problem with defense, like we saw at the beginning of the year, everyone was focusing on attack, and now it's switching to clean sheets. The templates keeps changing, so whatever you have, you keep. If you have somebody who's conceding like a ton of goals, maybe take them out. Otherwise, switch to a 3D.
Or if they're not playing, I guess, right?
Yeah,
I guess that's the one. Because I mean, I had Reece James last week, who's not sort of starting, and I guess we'll have to wait and see with players like him, Reguilon. You have to see whether they're sort of nailed on starters, but that can only come sort of with time. But with that, I'm going to jump to Kazim, who's going to take us through the biggest debate, because there's been sort of 7 million midfielders galore this season. You've had sort of Grealish, you've had Zaha, you've had Hammers, you've had Harvey Barnes, James Maddison. Sort of, I think Kazim, I think Hass cursed Harvey Barnes with his differentials, with his dodgy differential shot of most touches in the box, etc. But nonetheless, I think this week, sort of in focus, we're gonna look at 2 of them and then build our midfield conversation from there.
Yeah. So I mean, really what I see in the midfield are there's 2 must-haves you sort of need to base your team around, and that's Son and either Mane or Salah, depending on who you have. And then after that, it's really mixing it up in terms of what 7 million what's your best next midfielder? So sort of the big two right now, exact same price, similar points, you could say, a 9-point gap is both Grealish and Zaha. So Grealish right now, I believe he is behind Salah in terms of most passes leading to a shot. So he's really putting up the stats. He's, getting in the box, getting the passes to, I guess, the striker, but obviously not as explosive right now as Zaha. And with Zaha, he is getting more shots because he is the focal point of that team. He's played striker, I think, a couple games. Now with Batshuayi there, he's sort of playing on the wing. He's getting in the box a lot, taking a lot of shots. And his fixtures, as you can see, like it's like green galore. Has a tough game against Wolves. I still argue Leeds is also a tough game, but after that, like there's goals there for him.
And even if there's just a one goal, he's sort of a bonus point magnet as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because there's not really many else on that team who are gonna provide.
Him and the keeper,
but he's sort of the focal point there.
So I think it makes sense, to be honest, and it's a debate between these two. The question is, Hass, that like Kazim alluded to, Grealish has had the most passes leading to shots behind Salah, only behind Salah, and he's played one less game as well. Does that allude to how big an influence he is for Villa, or is it overstated? I'm going to come to you first because I know what Hammer is going to say about Grealish.
No, you know what? Like, I know right now they're putting up good numbers and Zaha's keeping up with Grealish, but if you look at the team stats, so forget the individual, you look at the team, it's Grealish and Villa. They're the ones creating the most chances, right? I think they're in the top 3 for big chances created this season. Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, they've played one game less. Zaha, individually he's good, but he's on a Palace team that's not very creative. So everything he's doing, he's have to work really hard for it. So if it was a straight choice between the two, I'd still go with Grealish. Like, I don't want to jinx him, but I think, Grealish is the guy. But then Zaha, he's the talisman for Palace. Everything goes through him. You never know. He can always pop up with a goal or two.
Fair enough. Hammer, what are your thoughts? To be honest, me personally, I'm looking elsewhere. I'm not a fan of either. I'm not fully convinced by either. But what do you think?
No, so I'm of the opposite. I think Zaha is better than Grealish, but I'm with you. I don't think either is a good option in the long term. But right now they're both. Well, Zaha's in form. The thing about Grealish, the thing that deceives you is he scored 2 goals and 3 assists in one game. So he's got 3 goals, 3 assists, but 5 of those attacking returns came against Liverpool.
Got 21 points in that game, I think. So that's...
Yeah, so his consistency is lower than Zaha. Zaha has scored about a goal, I think, in 4 different games. So in terms of that, I think he's the better option. And I know Palace isn't more as creative as Villa, but the way they play is everything goes through Zaha. So if they get a chance, a penalty or a goal, it's going through Zaha.
Yeah, that's true. You like that surety that, listen, he's the main man of the team. I'm going to throw one question to you guys, quick fire, basically. Grealish, Zaha, and Robertson/Trent, either of those two. Who's going to get the most points? One of Trent or Robbo, or one of these two?
No, I think it's going to go Robbo Trent. Like, even if you look at Liverpool last season, first 5-6 games didn't keep too many clean sheets, and then they went through a spell in the middle where they had 5 or 6 clean sheets out of 7 or 8 games. So those guys will rack up the points. I mean, they'll definitely finish over 200 points this season.
Okay, nice. Are you both of the same thinking as well?
Yeah, not as optimistic on the 200 points, but 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those to think, like, if you're thinking of dropping a Trent or a Robertson for one of these two, then it's probably not the right move in the long run. Then.
Yeah.
Especially with Alisson back earlier than we expected, and they got that dodgy penalty. That would have been clean sheets.
That's true.
So I think, I think it's definitely, and I think Trent would have got the assist too on maybe that Salah goal. So
no, let's not dwell, please. It hurts me. It doesn't get easier. But nonetheless, speaking of that, we'll move swiftly on. I'm still adjusting to the space. Are you guys adjusting to the space as well? It's good. But we sort of move on to forwards, and I'm going to throw it to Hass first, who's come up with an amazing graphic to take us through what we should do with all of us Mitrovic owners and where we should look next.
All right. So I got a couple of tables up here. And, one of the things that I've been, struggling with myself is what to do with that, budget striker. Because I think the way the squads are right now, everybody needs a striker, under that 7 million, 6.5 million range. And so I picked out the top 6 or 7 right now. And as you can see, Bamford, who hit his 17 just last week. So everybody's talking about him. But the thing I want to point out is if you look over the last, 6 game weeks, all of these guys at one point had a haul, right? A haul being over 10 points, I guess, except Antonio, right? So everybody at some point has got a haul. And you think with these guys, you're not going to expect 30 goals a season from these guys. You're not even going to get 20 goals a season. You're going to, if these guys come up with 15 goals in a season, you'll be happy. And if you look at 15 goals a season over 38 games, after 6 games, they should have really had 2 or 3 goals. And all of these guys are there. Yeah. Right. So they're all hitting what they should be for what, what you pay. And that's the thing. So I think if you're going to go with a budget striker, it's going to be hard to pick and choose which one to go to week on week in. Like, this week, this guy's got a good fixture. This week's got a bad fixture. You just got to go with one, stay with him for 5-6 games, and he'll get you 2, maybe 3 goals. And if he gets a couple of assists or a hat trick like Bamford did, then you're good to go. And, if you look at the table right now, I've put in there XG. So Bamford, he's way above where he should be, right? So you may see some regression. And you look at somebody like Adams, right? He's probably a goal or 2 behind where he should be. And looking at the fixtures, Adams and Mitro have the best fixtures for the next 3. So, maybe Adams is where you want to, if you were going to go with one, maybe Adams is the right guy. So it's, it's a tough decision, but I think, and unfortunately for me personally, I went with Mitrovic and I had him for the first 5 game weeks. He's the lowest scoring out of this list. So it was just it was an unlucky pick.
It's just one of those where you have to wait for the season to kind of settle down and give your picks patience, because it's all about points per million, I guess. How much can you get out of the player? And I know that we all have sort of differing opinions. I stuck my fate with Mitrovic as well too. Adams for the first couple of games of the season and then switched to Mitrovic. I couldn't have done worse, I guess. But Hammer, what are your thoughts on with forwards, man?
Yeah, so I agree with Hass. My only recommendation to everybody who might be listening is don't pick Mitrovic. Like, whatever you do, take Mitrovic out of your team. Like, Fulham going forward are bad. Right, they just don't create enough chances. Mitrovic always looks for the headers, and he doesn't seem to score too many. I think the last time he was in the Premier League, he scored 11 goals. So if you're getting 9 goals of the remaining 30 weeks, that's not a good return. You're better off going with a Wilson or a Bamford or even Mope. Antonio, this year, the way he's going, it's a goal every other game so far. He scores 1 goal every 2 games. So if he continues that pace, he's looking at 19 goals. So he's looking good. So I would recommend one of those, but don't pick Mitrovic.
That's fair enough. Kazim, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm going to be avoiding all these guys. I think there's much like Calvert-Lewin, Kane, and Jimenez, Werner. I'm more targeting towards like the big names. But if I had to pick, I would actually like, to be honest, I like Wilson. I feel like, I don't know, just the way he plays. I know Newcastle's not the best team. But I just feel like he's up there in terms of his stats, right? He's second on this list. So that would be sort of my pick. But my advice is just go.
Is your thought to sort of play 2 up front rather than a 3? Because I have Kane, Calvert-Lewin, and then I go for a budget striker. Is your thought more to play 2?
So no, mine's 3. So Jimenez, Calvert-Lewin, and then Kane.
Ooh,
okay. That's a lot of money. That's going old school. 3 big boys up front.
The only reason this is just because I like City right now. You don't need KDB right now, at least. I mean, maybe I'm going to jinx it, but he doesn't have a striker. Although I heard some rumors they may get Daniel Sturridge. I don't know if that's true, but
that's free agent as well.
I think he's a free agent. But so I think right now you have the opportunity to get that 3rd striker just because you really only have the 2 main
Midfield options, and then you can build it from there, I guess, right?
Exactly. So that's sort of my strategy, and based on what I saw of Spurs, I think you need Kane and Son. Nice. I got lucky this week where I didn't get Kane, and you only got 5 points, so I was able to absorb that. But I think going forward, the game against Brighton is going to be very different than how Mourinho set up against
Burnley.
Against Burnley, and I think they're really going to go for that game. So
pick one of these off this list from if you're going to go for one. Quick fire.
Wilson.
Wilson, Hass?
For me, full disclosure, I know I put this list together, but I don't have any of these now. I had Mitro for the first 5 weeks and got rid of him. But if I had to pick one now, I think just based on how Adams is playing for Southampton and the chances he's getting, his problem is he's not that, he can't put them away. I think we talked about it in one of the earlier pods. He needs like 3 or 4 chances before he scores one. But if he figures that out, he looks good.
Nice. Hammer?
Same, Adams.
Nice. I'm going Antonio. Okay. Exciting times, boys. Fixtures this week are looking exciting, but before that, we'll come to how we got on this week for differentials. I will talk through my pick first. I just picked him as a striker. Antonio, I think he's consistent. After this Liverpool game, they've got a good run of fixtures, and I think he might bully this Liverpool defense as well, so could grab a goal potentially. Bit of a punt. Hass?
Yeah, mine, it says Ward-Prowse there, but you can see the pictures Barkley. I think, I went with Barkley last week. He was unlucky against Leeds. I think, Villa are creating chances. He's going to be up there with the assists, maybe the goals as well.
Nice. Hammer?
I went against the fixtures. I went against Fulham. So
Nice.
Hoping Pereira can do something for me there. He's been creative the last couple of games, so hopefully he can get some assists or some goals.
Okay, brilliant. And Kazim, your boy?
Yeah, Ward-Prowse has been I guess I've had a love affair with him for quite a few years, but he seems to be back in the picture with Southampton. And yeah, he could have actually got more than the goal, I think. And looks like he's on penalty, or I think Ings is on penalties, but he takes a lot of the free kicks and corner kicks. And I just really like how he's looking the next few games.
Nice. It's my least favorite part of this when we have to sort of do analysis of how Dodgy Differentials is sort of going. So
Faraaz, I was just gonna say, but your pick this week away to Liverpool, Antonio. That's like the toughest fixture.
Yeah,
that's a brave call.
And you know what? I'm gonna double down and bring him into my team as well, just in case that sends good vibes. I'll try and hide our fixtures so we can see your analysis. But essentially, it's not looking good for me, to be honest, at the moment. And I'm stuck at the bottom at about 11 points. Hass and Kazim leading the charge. I've got Hammer in my sights, but I think, Hammer, are you chasing the Fulham fixture?
I'm chasing anything that can give me some big points.
Okay, amazing. That's
you won it this week for us, so it's looking
Sorry?
good. Said you won this week, right, with Foden? So
Oh yeah, Foden. So let's look. Yeah, this past week, Foden. You know what? A lot of people had Bamford on the bench, and I didn't. So I was hoping Foden would play when he didn't start, and he came on and scored in about a couple of minutes. It's a great feeling, to be honest. Really enjoyed that one. I'm gonna jump out of this now, and then we talk about captains, and then we can wrap up, I think. But any captains' thoughts, guys, this week?
I'm going to double down. I know Salah let us all down last week, but I think Salah is or Mane, one of the Liverpool boys. And again, right now with this form Spurs are in, I don't think you can go wrong with Son or Kane as well.
Yeah, Spurs have got Brighton, and Liverpool have, like we said, West Ham. Hammer, any thoughts for captaincy-wise? What people should think about?
Yeah, so I've always said Salah, but this week, just because I'm pretty far behind everyone else, so I'm gonna go for a recovery from Manchester City and go Sterling.
Okay, big. Yeah, they do a big win as well. Also, we must say, subject to change, he's not tied into this. Just
I don't know what happened in the UCL, so we'll see what happens in the Champions League.
Yeah. Fair enough. We're recording this quite early in the week. Kazim?
Yeah, Spurs. I just really like their explosiveness. It's very with Liverpool, you can get that obviously as well, but I just like the fixture better, and I just like what I'm seeing.
Nice. No, that's amazing. Eye test is key as well. One thing as well, shout out to Kazim, whose game week 1 dodgy differential was Bamford as well. So if you had trusted him,
I never picked him. I don't think I picked any of them. So
don't compromise the sanctity of the game. One final thing, is Friday deadline. So make sure you guys sort of get teams in. Before that, to the viewers, thank you for sticking around this long. We're at 24 and a half minutes. So Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Any final thoughts before we, like, subscribe, and share?
And let's hope we all have a better game week this week.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Maz, we're coming for you.
All right, take it easy, boys.
Good luck.